In 1988, a small movie theatre in Budapest, Hungary, burnt to the ground, killing the 56 people who were watching the film.
When was the last time you were afraid? Really afraid?
The film that was screening was called Antrum.
I mean, how many people have pooped in that house?
That's true too.
That's the more unsettling thought.
I mean, I never really considered that, but that's something to think about too. on that note, I think we should probably start the show.
All right, let's go.
All right.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Heavy Leather Horror Show podcast, your weekly guide to all things horror from the heart of Witch City, Salem, Massachusetts. I'm your old pal Ken, a.k.a. rock and roll writer, sleaze grinder. And there she is, everybody. It's Salem's greatest hauntress. It's Kelly Kapow.
Greetings, everyone.
Let's fucking party!
Yeah! She's scary, but she still likes to party. Also with us, it's Rui, the 15-year-old intern.
I was a teenage werewolf. Fantastic. Bewildering.
I like that one.
Yeah, he was.
Sick.
He is. Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Ken?
He has 3 days left to be in the 15-year-old intern until he's the 16-year-old intern, everybody.
That's right.
By the time you hear this, he will be 16 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sweet 16.
A true master of his own destiny. It's gonna be incredible, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know, once this whole mess is over, it'll be fun.
Also, our coolest creep, Kate Douglas, is here.
Don't. Oh, that's a little too horrifying.
Yay, Kate.
I'm here.
I haven't come up with Kate's intro yet, but I'm working on it.
That's all right.
Kate Douglas, everybody, of Kate's Grim Day Out, and of course, the Murder Minute.
That's me.
Well, everybody, the bats are in the belfry, as we know, and the wolves are howling, and the monsters are rattling their chains down in the basement. So it can only mean one thing, everybody. It's time to start the show. All right, everybody, shut up. All right, thank you, everybody. Little atmosphere.
Thank you, bats.
They take criticism well.
Hey, did you see that? Video of the bat peeing? I never saw that before. It's really exciting.
No.
Because bats are upside down all the time, you know. So they
Just piss on their own face.
Yeah.
Really?
You gotta check it out. It's great.
Huh.
Oh man.
It's
That's so cute though. I hate to think of them doing something so gross.
Wait, think about vampires. They must piss on their own faces all the time, too.
Yeah.
Do vampires pee?
I mean, they must. I mean, they drink.
They drink
A lot, yeah.
Right.
It wasn't covered in Twilight, so I
That
just don't
is
know.
a deleted scene from The Lost Boys.
Oh my God.
We are a TV show primarily, but we are broadcasting from my basement until we can get back to our haunted studio across from the Halloween Alley. Go to our YouTube page, brand new YouTube page to see the show, youtube.com/Heavy Leather Horror Show. I also want to remind you that we are part of the Campaneros Radio Network. Go Campaneros is their site. Check out Movie Melt, Gets Off with Dr. Snuggles, Songs on Trial, and now the Heavy Leather Horror Show podcast, all at Campaneros. This week and every week we'll have a little horror news. We'll be talking about some horror movies that we've seen lately, and we'll be reviewing a film together this week. It's Antrum, the deadliest film ever made. The cursed film Antrum, everybody.
We're all still alive, so
far.
You know, so
Right.
it should be fine.
Don't even get me started.
Really, so far, we're still alive.
Yeah.
Before all that, though, Kate is what you might call a true crime enthusiast.
Yes. it's true.
And she knows so much about murder, and she just loves telling us about it. So it's time, everybody, for the Murder Minute.
Love that sound.
Yeah.
All right, hit us with with a little murder.
Hit you with some murder. Well, I was kind of feeling, I wanted to be a little on theme this week. So I was feeling a little satanic after watching Antrum. So I'm going to tell you about a satanic murder. I'm going to tell you about the murder of Maria Laura Maionetti. She was a 60-year-old nun in Italy, and she sadly died in 2000. The story goes that there were 3 teenage girls, 2 of them age 17, one of them age 16, and they concocted a plot to kill the priest of their church, but apparently decided he was too fat, which is a quote from them, and it would be too difficult to kill him. So instead they turned to a sister who had taught them catechism, so they knew her. And 3 days prior to her murder, one of them called her and said, at the convent, and said, I've been raped and impregnated by my rapist, and I'm thinking of having an abortion. Can you help me? Because this nun in particular was known for helping out sex workers and would go on nighttime walks, helping people, who worked on the streets at night in Italy. And, she being a nun wanted to help. And 3 days later, she called again on June 6th and said, I've run away from home. I have a suitcase. I've run away from home and I just don't know what to do about this pregnancy. Can you help me? And they lured her to a park where, she met with her, and then her 2 friends came out and they struck her on the head with a stone or a brick and made her kneel. And they decided that they would stab her 18 times, 6 times per girl. And they were trying to make the number of the beast, but they messed up and they accidentally stabbed her 19 times, quote, ruining the ritual.
Right.
So it was worthless. But they left her body there and went home, told their parents they had been to a restaurant, acted totally normal. She had actually fought back and had some of the girls' hair in her hand. So when they found her body, they found that evidence. And the police ended up tapping their phones when someone had said, I think you might want to look into these girls. And they heard them all on a call, talking about the murder. And they arrested them. They said it was all just for a game. And then they said it was a satanic ritual, and it's all just really fucked up. And then these girls served time in jail. One of them in a mental institution, the other in jail, because there were, they had different pleas of insanity during this. But it's pretty awful. They stabbed her to death, and she's now on her way to being a official martyr of the Catholic faith.
But wait a minute. First of all, number one, thank you for that, Kate. That was quite a murder minute. Applause everybody for that. Wow, what an incredible. So wait a minute, they were just thrill killers essentially, right? Is that what?
Yeah, so they kind of went back and forth on their story. They were like, it was all for a game, and then they were like, no, we were trying to do it for the devil, hence why the number of times they were stabbing her was so important.
Yeah.
There's no that's all they've really have offered. And then of course I think a lot of times there's clearly something went wrong with these girls, but I think a lot of times once you're told that you're going for an insanity plea, it becomes you need to be a lot more quiet about why you did what you did and sharing of facts, because if you're trying to say you were out of your mind when you did it, you can't provide a lot of evidence.
You can't have a motive.
Yeah, if you're saying you were insane, having a motive and a plan makes it you can poke a whole lot more holes.
Well, if your motive is that you're doing it for the devil, then that's probably a pretty good insanity plea, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also
talking about. Go ahead.
The other part that I was, at first they're gonna take on the priest, but he was too fat. I think about that sometimes because when I think about vegetarianism as a concept, because I go, here's the problem: if I was forced to kill whatever I eat, would I be a vegetarian? I think about this a lot. And the answer would still be no, because there are some animals that I would definitely kill. And like a turkey. Turkeys are fucking assholes. I would kill a turkey.
Agreed.
No problem. I would also kill a chicken. No problem.
Yeah.
But once you get higher up the food chain, I would probably kill a goat, because goats can kind of seem like assholes too. They would give you a fight. But
when the fainting type.
When you get to a cow, now a cow is probably the tastiest animal, But I have no idea how you would kill a cow. So I feel
It's so
I understand
cute.
what these kids were up against with the fat priest. What am I supposed to do with that? You know what I mean?
What, were they going to eat him?
It doesn't matter. I'm saying it's the ending of the
Bigger
life.
creature.
Like, I don't know how I would kill a cow. Would he hit it with
so
a
you
rock?
definitely wouldn't be able to kill a person, Ken.
Well, people are not as big and heavy as cows. I'm just saying that.
Usually.
Fair point.
I mean, I
Also
think
fair
that
point.
even if you had an axe and you whacked a cow with it, it wouldn't stop the cow. It wouldn't kill him. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know how you kill those things.
Poor guy.
You seen the video of the cow that learned to play catch?
What is it used to catch? Its
Yeah.
mouth?
More so, it's just like somebody throws like a yoga ball at it, and then it headbutts it back to them.
All right, yeah.
And-
So he's having fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cows are
And then you
cute.
have to think of what happens to that cow after.
Yeah, I don't care how smart he is. I'm just saying he's too big for me to kill. That's my only.
Fair
That's
point.
my only problem.
You're a monster.
Not a monster. It's just you get hungry. Get hungry out there. Thank you, Kate. That was really something to chew on for sure.
Oh, chew on.
Great turn of phrase, Ken. Really good.
Couple of quick things before we get to the movies. Kelly sent this to me. It's pretty great. This week in 1977, socialite
Yes.
Sandra West was buried in her Ferrari in San Antonio on May 19th, which
Huh.
incidentally was my birthday. In 1977, West, a Beverly Hills socialite and widow of Texas oil tycoon Ike West, and her $20,000 car were positioned in a concrete box placed in a grave at the Alamo Masonic Cemetery and covered with cement to thwart rivals, so you can't dig up the Ferrari later. Take it.
Huh.
Around 300 spectators and reporters looked on to witness a crane navigate around tombstones and place the box into a grave measuring 19 feet long and 10 feet wide and 9 feet deep. The socialite, who died of a prescription drug overdose on March 10th, requested in 1972 that she'd be buried next to my husband in my lace nightgown by Porter Loring
Lingerie.
Mortuary and in my Ferrari with the seat slanted comfortably.
That's the best part, with the seat slanted comfortably.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Down to the last detail.
In
know-
her lace nightgown. The whole thing is very classy, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think how like in ancient Egypt, like all the pharaohs, they would take all these trinkets with them.
Yeah, just take it
'cause
with
they
you.
They thought they could take it into the afterlife. So I imagine she's just pulling up to the pearly gate in a Ferrari.
That's exactly right.
The good visual. And her lace nightgown, too.
Yeah.
They say you can't take it with you, but she proved them wrong.
Well, isn't it also like whatever you're buried in, that's what your spirit wears? So
Oh yeah, that's
Right? Is
cool
that
too.
true?
Yeah, that's
So pick a
something to
good
think
one.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick a sexy one.
Yeah. Make sure you get buried in leather pants so you can be ready for whatever's
I'm gonna
happening.
get buried in assless chaps.
Yeah, there you go.
That's my wish.
Back in California, the widow left behind a $500,000 stamp collection, $500,000 worth
Right.
of jewelry, 2 additional Ferraris, and a solid gold fishing reel. That was the one detail that really
Yeah.
got me to thinking.
That's odd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you have a solid gold fishing reel? I mean, that's just
the
rubbing it in,
fisherwoman.
really.
Yeah.
I'm playing a
just
lot
like-
of Animal Crossing, like a lot of people in quarantine, and let me tell you, that's the only time I think you would need a solid gold fishing reel is in this virtual game.
Fair point.
Can you quickly just thumbnail for me, because I don't really understand it. Can you thumbnail what Animal Crossing the game is, what it means, what it's about?
Yeah. And I've played since the first iteration on GameCube. But basically, you run a small island, and you have animals that live on the island with you. You're the only human, inexplicably. And you chop trees, you collect fruit, you grow flowers, you sell it for fake money, and you make the town nice, and you make people happy where you live. And the raccoon runs the whole thing.
Okay.
Sounds a lot
Greedy
like
bastard.
Farmville.
It's good Farmville. If you've ever heard or played Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon, it's in that kind of ilk, but it's really just easygoing, happy. Nothing bad ever happens except you might get stung by wasps. But
Everyone's
It's
just
really
trapped in
so
this
good.
simulation now.
I mean, people are living in this world because there's nothing else to do. I will say it's pretty funny. I've played this game for years and years, and it's had like I said, it was on GameCube. It's been on Nintendo DS and other things, and now it's come to Nintendo Switch, and everyone loves it. But so many more people are playing it now because they have access to it, and it's like this prettier version on the Switch. And you can buy turnips on Sundays, and turnips are basically the only form of gambling or excitement in this entire game, and people are losing their minds.
Oh boy.
Seeing it everywhere. I mean,
People
I'm
are going crazy.
happy for everybody. I mean, it's a fucking pandemic, and everybody is playing this cute little game and like selling fucking radishes or whatever you guys do.
Not radishes, turnips. Turnips.
Yeah.
Turnips.
I mean, we all lose ourselves in one game or another, you know.
Funny thing too is that turnips are just the worst. They're the worst root vegetable possible. They will ruin your stew. You think you're biting into a delicious chunk of potato, and it's a turnip, and it just ruins the stew.
I turn up for turnips because I love them.
This is from a very informative Wikipedia page of unusual deaths. Okay.
Ooh.
In 1988 in Buenos Aires. So this all happened in one space of time. So first of all, a poodle fell from a balcony and struck a 75-year-old woman, killing them both. So first that happened.
Jesus.
A woman who saw this while crossing the street, froze in shock, got hit by a bus and died.
Jesus.
And then a man walking down the street witnessed the woman get hit by a bus, had a heart attack, and then died. All that happened at once. In 1988.
It's a morbid Rube Goldberg machine.
Yeah, in Buenos Aires. Death really had a quota to catch up on that day, clearly.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I decided to have fun with it.
Have a little fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something that happened. This Wikipedia, by the Wikipedia page, unusual deaths. Check it out. It's very.
Ooh, I'm going to that.
It's got some things that'll really twist your brain around. Encroaching a bit on the Salem Jason's gig, horror FX legend Tom Savini, along with makeup and visual effects specialist Jason Baker, have collaborated on a new project. The creation of Jason Voorhees face masks, because fans have been asking for them during the pandemic. So now horror fans can don the infamous hockey mask as they protect themselves and others from COVID-19.
Oh,
That's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Do you like that? You like that idea, everybody?
I love that idea.
I like it, but also just imagine leaving your house when you're already anxious about leaving your house and just seeing a bunch of Jasons.
One of them's real.
That's true. You just don't know which is the real one. That's what makes it exciting. The masks are being sold for $60. However, if you want your mask autographed by the father of horror makeup effects himself, Savini's signature will grace your Voorhees mask for an additional $40.
Jesus.
So you tell me.
It's steep.
That is a little steep, but some people, I'm sure, will pony up the extra $40 for that. I just wear a plain black mask. I'm not going for fancy masks in this pandemic. But
that's for the next one.
Exactly.
Don't say that.
Good one, Rui.
Rui, what?
I hope it's not true.
What? When you're out on your raids, Rui still likes to go out and break into abandoned buildings and steal signs and whatever else he's doing. What sort of mask are you wearing when you're out there on the streets?
I mean, it's funny because I actually bought masks before, like a few months before.
Because you were planning raids way before the pandemic started.
Yeah, before breaking into abandoned buildings. These ones are rated. They're work masks, so they're like rated for mold and asbestos. I'm not sure if they're rated for biohazards, but it's better than nothing. Although they do get really hot and uncomfortable after a while.
Yeah, okay.
So, wouldn't recommend it.
So
I have to say, that's pretty smart of you. Being a 15-year-old kid and thinking, I don't want to get asbestos on me when I break into this building. So I'm really proud of you.
Hey, remake / sequel / out of ideas news. Scream 5 is all set to begin shooting later this year in Wilmington, North Carolina.
No.
With
At what point did they stop?
with
I liked Scream 4. I'm going to say it. I liked it.
Remind me which one Scream 4 even is.
yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
Fourth one.
Shit.
I knew.
It's been a
the one
long
with
time
Emma
since I've
Roberts?
seen it. I know that they brought a bunch of people back, right?
Wait, is it
So-
the Emma Roberts one where she's like the young cousin?
Yes, that is the
Okay,
one.
yeah. All right.
I
I
was
saw it when it first came out.
I was hoping as soon as Kelly said I like Scream 4 that someone was going to make her tell you what Scream 4 was about because
You suck.
I really didn't think that you remembered it. But it sounds like it's the one with the cousin, right? So there you go. But here's the point. They're going to make the Scream 5 with David Arquette and maybe Nev Campbell. They're both going to be in it. And Radio Silence is going to be directing. That's the directing team. That's the crew behind the VHS films. And,
nice.
And also Southbound, which was also a really cool movie. So as much as, I don't really know if you need to make Scream 5 at least. Those guys do really amazing things with special effects. And although you don't really need special effects for Scream 5, it'll be interesting to see what they come up with for sure.
Yeah. I just don't know where you can go with the idea for Scream. How much more could you do with it that hasn't already been done?
You're absolutely right, buddy.
You're talking about, but look at Jason. I mean, Jesus Christ. Look at all the Friday the 13th movies.
Jason goes to space?
Yeah, exactly. Do he want to go to space or he goes to, on a boat or whatever?
Ghostface killer going to space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Siffy.
Leprechaun in the Hood.
Right. Siffy, the science fiction network, has placed a straight-to-series order for Child's Play, the TV series, a.k.a. Chucky. In the television series, by the way, I never liked any Child's Play movies. In the television series, a vintage Chucky doll turns up at a suburban yard sale, and an idyllic American town is thrown into chaos as a series of horrifying murders begin to expose this town's hypocrisies and secrets. Meanwhile, the arrival of enemies and allies from Chucky's past threatens to expose the truth behind the killings, as well as the demon doll's untold origins as a seemingly ordinary child who somehow became this notorious monster.
So a little backstory there.
Yep. Plenty of backstory. And
How
probably
many
check it
Child's
out.
Plays are there?
well, I think there's 3 original ones, right? And then there's just the remake.
Okay. All right. I've only seen the original Child's Play.
You have Child's Play 1, 2, 3. Then you have the one with Jennifer Tilly. What the hell one was that?
The Bride of Chucky.
Bride of Chucky. Then you have Seed of Chucky. Then you have another fucking
Yeah.
one.
Oh my god. Yeah.
They just get worse as it goes. You know how it is.
Which is the one where they went to space?
I don't know if they have yet, but I think that's the end goal, right?
Maybe they'll do that on the TV show.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'll say this. I actually have a fear of dolls, but I want to thank the Child's Play movies for helping me get over that a bit, because Chucky is just not scary.
No.
I
really...
He's so
This helps.
small.
Yeah.
He
It
was
looks like a
scary to me when
toddler.
I was a kid. The first 3 movies really scared me when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you were literally a child, it could be a frightening experience. But when the first one came out, I was already a teenager, and I was like, ugh, this is just not working for me. But it does seem to work for some people. Some people really like it. I don't know. I don't get it. But anyway, if you do like it, guess what? You get lots of it coming up on the Science Fiction Network. And goodness knows, Siffy is well known for really high quality productions. So.
Oh yes.
Look out for that.
The best of the best.
All right, let's.
I love that.
Let's talk about some movies that we've seen lately. By the way, I review all the movies I watch over on Letterboxd, so go to letterboxd.com/sleazegrinder if you want to follow me. Kelly only saw one other movie besides Antrum this week.
Yeah, just one.
Okay,
I
you want to talk
started
about
another one too, but yeah, I'll talk about the one I saw.
Okay.
I watched a movie called Z. It's a Shudder original. I think it came out probably like a month ago. It's directed by Brandon Christensen. I'm sorry, the screenplay is also by him. It stars Canadian actor Keegan Connor Tracy. She was in the 2015-16 Dead Rising movies, also in Final Destination 2 and the Bates Motel Show. And then it has alongside her is Sean Rogerson. He's another Canadian actor who's in the Grave Encounters movies. So the premise of this movie, it follows a couple, Kevin and Ben, and their 8-year-old son, Joshua. Joshua develops an imaginary friend, which the family totally caters to.
Sure.
And they end up finding out that Joshua starts acting up at school and he gets suspended. And of course, he blames it on his new imaginary friend. And the father is like basically refuses to acknowledge that anything's really wrong. And the mom is trying to like medicate him behind the father's back because he doesn't want him to be medicated. And she's like seeks help from a psychiatrist that's a family friend of theirs. And then through that, you start to see all this other stuff that comes revealed about Beth's past. So I don't want to go into any more details on that because you got to watch it. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, the first 30 minutes of this movie, it really, really had my attention. And they did some wacky shit with CGI that was fucking terrible. But there's only a little bit of that. I personally wish they never showed the imaginary friend because that's where it all goes wrong. You know, you have all this build up and then you see it and you're like, oh, what the fuck? So, but it's very Babadook. So if you like that stuff, it's very Babadook without being as good as Babadook. But if you like that style, then you should totally check this out.
I accidentally watched like 3 minutes towards the end of it because I put on Shudder the other day. And it was just one of the ones streaming. And I was like, oh, what's this? And then I was like, I looked it up and I was like, this sounds interesting. I'm going to turn it off so I don't spoil anything else.
So
yeah, you should watch it. It has some cheap scares in it, though.
So in a similar vein, also on Shudder is Daniel Isn't Real. Have you guys watched that one yet? It's also
another imaginary friend one.
It's also another imaginary friend. Although that one, I didn't really click with me because it was like it's almost exactly like Fight Club, except if Tyler Durden just wasn't cool. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
So wasn't that great?
Well, I mean,
but Z
they're
sounds
all
good.
kind of like that, yeah.
And
kind of predictable.
And the chicken who was in that one, in yours, and Z was in Final Destination 2, you said, right?
Yeah, she was. I don't remember her in that because I haven't seen that movie since I was a teenager, but she's in there somewhere.
I would just like to give a shout out to the Final Destination series because those were great. They were super fun. I loved them, and I
think they're fun.
I loved seeing them in the movie theater too, especially the 3D one. Had tires flying out your head and everything. It was great.
Yeah. Oh man, they scared the shit out of me though, because I was just, anytime I'm driving on an interstate, I still think about like, what if something goes wrong and I get impaled by a logging truck? Like
exactly.
I can't.
That was scary.
Yeah.
The first two I liked. The first one, what was it, Devon Sawyer or something in that? Teen Heartthrob. I think that's why I watched it, to be honest.
That's that same gag is in the Descent too, where the rod, I forget if it's like just a metal rod or whatever, comes flying off
like
of the truck.
Pipes or something.
Yeah, it's a pipe and it goes right through the guy's head driving. I think about it all the time when you're driving. I mean, it's I'm sure it actually happens in real life here and there, right?
Oh God, that's terrifying.
I mean, you got Phineas Gage.
Oh right, but I mean, so you could survive it.
Yeah,
I guess.
You can lose. Honestly, you can lose like half of your skull, and you'd be fine. And you wouldn't look.
They used to just drill a hole in it.
You wouldn't look great, but you could still keep going. It's fine.
Yeah.
So there you go, everybody. That's what Kelly says. She saw Z on Shudder, and she suggests that you check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
Hey, Kate, have you seen anything of note this week?
Well, I had a pretty bad week because, our lovely state of Massachusetts has decided that it's okay to reopen.
Oh, boy.
So I've been very busy at work. So I haven't been able to watch, I think, like any movies except Antrum this week. But what I have been watching, which is horror adjacent, is What We Do in the Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't talk about how much I love What We Do in the Shadows enough. The movie from Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement is wonderful. It's basically mockumentary about vampires, and they made a TV show out of it. And Matthew Barry is one of the main vampires, and he is just so funny and so wonderful. Everyone in the cast is great. The jokes are phenomenal. It's some of the best television you can watch. And if you're like into horror, into goth stuff, into vampires, it's even better. It's so good.
Excellent.
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It's one of those shows where like, I haven't done this in so long where like I stop it and I rewind because I want to hear the joke again. It's just so funny.
I love the levitation effects too. They really do.
It's great. And like it's really, my partner and I have been watching it together every week. And I talk a lot about how like the language coaching that they have and how they're able to talk about the teeth is really great. And they've given interviews about how the vampire teeth that they use to make the show are different than how most films use vampire teeth. So they're easier for the actors to talk around. And it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a great,
super thin.
It's a great show. I don't watch it, but Stacey does, and I pop in sometimes when she's watching it. And what's the guy's name? Mark Prosh is the guy that plays the energy vampire.
Oh my god! Yeah.
It's such a great character because it's so related. It's true. There are people in your life that do exactly that suck. Just having them show up, they suck the life right out of you.
Dry.
Oh, it's the
worst. I have to recommend something related. I didn't know much about this guy. He plays Colin Robinson on the show. The guy, his name is Mark. It's Prosh. Very like Russian looking Prosh.
Yeah.
He started out pretending to be this character on like local news stations. He was supposed to be a yo-yo master.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And he would like get himself on public access or like news stations and just, if you've ever seen Nathan For You, it's very Nathan For You-esque where like he's really putting on an act and no one around him knows. And it's the most uncomfortable humor you could see.
Yeah.
But this guy is
the yo-yo
brilliant.
Guy? Like the yo-yo master guy?
He doesn't use his real name. He goes by something like, I will find it for you guys and I will tell you. But his name is Mark Prosh.
Yeah, that yo-yo stuff is intense, and I'm pretty sure that I saw it on I saw him do it on like one of the local shows at some point when he was actually doing it. So he goes around to all these local, because it's really easy, it's just basically you send an email, hey, I'm a yo-yo master, I'd like to come on and talk about, I got a thing coming up. And, they got to fill time, so sure. But he's not a yo-yo master. He doesn't know a fucking thing about yo-yos.
Yeah.
And he comes on and he does not, none of the tricks work out. And, it's really uncomfortable.
But it's just a character the whole time. And that's so funny.
Yeah. He goes by Kenny K. Strasser. That's, if you look that up, you will get it. It's really
intense, really.
It's a form of energy vampire because I was so uncomfortable that I felt drained upon watching it.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you.
Glowing review.
Yeah. All right, Rui, what about you, bud? What do you got?
So I managed to somehow stumble across the sequel to Carrie.
Oh, yeah.
Which apparently there's a sequel to Carrie.
Yeah.
It's called Rage Carrie 2.
I love it. I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, I know that one.
It's awesome.
It's essentially just it's for the most part the plot of Carrie, except with a different girl and like a couple things changed. But like the mother is now in an insane asylum, and there's a weird plot going on. But it's such a time capsule for the 1999. That's the best way I can put it.
I remember seeing it in the theater, although I remember it being are you sure it wasn't the 80s, buddy? I feel like it was like 1988 or something.
Oh, it's
99.
definitely in the 90s.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. But that's
so 90s.
That's the one where doesn't she squash somebody in the lockers in that one? Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
In the pool. She squashes someone in a pool.
Like,
you know how like that thing comes across the pool to close the pool? Someone gets squashed in there. That's the one where she has like that barbed wire tattoo that goes up her entire her entire
body. Familiar now, yeah.
Right.
A crappy henna tattoo.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I liked it, but then again, when it came out, I was a teenager. So I love that shit.
And it's definitely appealing to the teenagers of 1999.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm thinking of a completely different movie, but anyway, Carrie 2, The Rage, 1999. Sounds great.
Rage, Carrie 2.
Rage. Rage, Carrie 2.
Yeah. Wait, it's The Rage, Carrie 2. I don't know. They could have just gone with The Rage or Carrie 2, but whatever.
Thank you, Rui. So there's some recommendations from those guys.
It's a recommendation.
Was it? Wait,
it's a recommendation from me.
Was it not a recommendation? Do you not recommend it, buddy?
I mean, if you're a teenager from 1999, it's definitely up your alley.
All right.
But
what were you doing in 1999, Rui?
Not existing.
Okay. All right.
Yep, there you have it.
I have a bunch to tell you about, so I'll try to bang through them. Best one I saw this week for sure is Better Watch Out from 2016. Somebody, I forget who, told me about this one, so whoever it was, thank you. 12-year-old kid has a crush on his babysitter. It's their last night together since she's going away to college. Their bittersweet evening is shattered by a home invasion. But is it really a home invasion? Or is it something else? The night spins wildly out of control as the narrative takes a shocking 180-degree spin that you just definitely don't see coming. It's called Better Watch Out because it takes place around Christmas time, although it's definitely not a Christmas movie. It has almost nothing to do with Christmas. But
like Black Christmas.
But Better Watch Out it's really fun. I think it's on Amazon Prime now, so check that one out.
Nice.
Diablo Rojo PTY from 2019. It's Panama's first horror film.
Ooh. Wow.
And it's a ragged, kind of scrappy kitchen sink gumbo of folktales, legends, witches, demons, lots of like really weird, gooey, homegrown practical effects, and just enough like really grotesque, hallucinatory weirdness to keep things going. The script is all over the place, but the basic premise pits a rogue bus driver. So they have these, regular like T sort of buses in Panama, but then they have these like rogue buses that are all covered in lights that'll get you there for cheaper, more dangerously, but cheaper. So, and the cops chase them around. So the rogue bus driver and his assistant are running from the cops one evening, and they run into a coven of baby-eating witches on a blood-soaked highway that has no exits, and so they realize that they somehow entered into hell on their car chase, and now they have to figure out how to get out.
Ooh!
All because they wanted to save a couple of bucks.
Exactly. That's
think about that next time you try to be a cheap.
Right. So that was a really interesting one. Diablo Rojo PTY. Another one that I want to tell you about. The next few films I'm going to tell you about are part of. It's all over by the time you hear this, but this weekend there is the Chattanooga Film Festival, which obviously happens in Chattanooga, which is where, Tennessee, right?
Yes.
Thank you. So obviously they couldn't actually have their film festival this year, so they put the whole thing online. It was $10 a day or $30 for the weekend for a bunch of features, shorts, live events, all that kind of stuff. So I paid for a day and I saw, like 7 or 8 films, and it was great.
Wow.
So I am going to tell you about some of them that I saw. The first one is called Skull: The Mask. It's brand new. It's from 2020, and it's a Brazilian slasher movie, which you don't see. I mean, you don't see that many Brazilian films at all, and certainly not a whole lot of horror ones. It's an extremely straightforward story. Archaeologists uncover an evil mask. The mask attaches itself to whoever is around, and then they commit bloody murder. Why? I don't know why. I'm sure it makes sense if you are from Brazil and you probably understand their traditions and the lore. But all you really need to know is that there's lots of 80s style practical splatter effects to keep things moving, and it's very stylishly shot, and it was really very impressive for a low budget film. It wasn't.
It looks
they-
fucking cool.
Yeah,
Glad they came out with the Mask remake.
exactly.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
It wasn't.
Jim Carrey as Norman Bates.
It wasn't quite as balls to the wall as you would have liked in this kind of movie, but it was really cool. It's called The Mask. Another one I saw as part of the festival was called The Beach House. It's from 2019. It's a really creepy and effective body horror about a young couple who head to the titular beach house for a weekend of fun and frolic and find themselves trapped in an ecological nightmare when mutant algae oozes ashore and turns everybody into piles of goo. It's really intense, kind of perfectly prescient for these times. It's about isolation and everybody being trapped in a situation that they can't get out of, and it's in a viral infection, and so it really works for the time that we're in, and it was really effectively done. Another one that I saw during the festival was Coco Da from 2019, which is a Danish film. A young couple lose their daughter. 3 years later, they hate each other, but they're still together. They decide to go camping, and they get caught in a time loop wherein they are tortured by an extremely odd and very off-putting trio of weirdos. So
that sounds great.
So every day they get killed by the same group of it's like an older guy with a straw hat and a cane, and then and then his two bizarre henchmen, this woman with a gun, and then this big this like, sort of big fat guy, and every morning they wake up, face these people that get killed. They wake up the next day and they keep trying to figure out how to not get killed by this trio. And
are they getting killed different ways each time?
No, they get killed the same way. They're just they just can't figure out how to get out of the loop. Now, I'm assuming that this is all representative of the grief that they can't get past from losing their daughter. But
there's a metaphor in there somewhere.
Exactly, Rui. It's a metaphor. And I'm glad I figured it out. I felt really smart about figuring it out before it was over. And it's very compelling. It's dismal, obviously, but very compelling and very, very strange, and definitely a unique film. The other one from this festival that I wanted to mention is called Homewrecker, also from 2019. A lonely woman in her 40s lures a younger woman to her house after yoga class. Once she gets there, she drugs her and forces her to watch 80s comedies and play board games with her under threat of death.
That sounds like me in a couple of years. Shit.
Please talk to me.
And exactly. And then, you're already over, an hour or so in when you find there's a twist that you definitely don't see coming, and you're like, what the holy smokes? But, because the whole time you're like, the woman's just insane. But then, there's a reason for her insanity that really throws you for a loop. But great, really, really fun movie, Homewrecker.
Where can you see that one on?
Well, like I said, I saw all of these on that Chattanooga Film Fest. So my assumption is that they will be released sometime soon. And when they do, I'll let people know on the Facebook page. But
awesome.
But those are all ones that I would suggest that you check out. Now, some others that I've seen streaming on the usual, Amazon or Hulu or whatever, that I suggest you also check out The Killers Within from 2018, which is a solid heist horror hybrid that opens up with a pretty intense child kidnapping and ends with a housebound siege of would-be robbers against supernatural creatures disguised as rich assholes. And what's interesting about this one is you figure that they're going to be vampires because they're always vampires. But they're not vampires, they're lizard people. And
nice.
And lizard people, it turns out, is this conspiracy that people actually believe in. That that some humans are not humans, they're actually lizards with human skin. So I learned, watching the film, I learned a little bit about this thing that, a good 18% of actual human beings that we're interacting with on a daily basis believe is happening. Which is
18%?
Yeah. It's in some
holy shit.
In some polls, 18% believe. Sure, yeah, it's possible. It's definitely not possible. But lizard people, come on.
Like
People really believe in
Super
lizard
Mario
people.
Brothers.
Did they
Those kind of lizard people?
Did they? Yeah, you're right. Two more that I want to tell you about: Halloween, Pussy Trap, Kill Kill from 2017.
Whoa!
Quite a name.
All right, I'm interested already.
It's like it's so terrible, but so I don't know. It's like Josie and the Pussycats meets Saw. That's the basic premise, except definitely on a Halloween store budget.
Oh
I
man!
love that.
Only way worse than that, and also sort of way better than that too. Also, you should know that Dave Mustaine of Megadeth is the bad guy in the movie. I don't know.
Wow.
It was really terrible, but I could watch it all day. Honestly, Hollywood Pussy Trap, Kill. I'm definitely. I'll make it a group watch one of these days, and we'll all have to share in that.
We gotta watch that.
All right.
Yeah.
And then finally, the one that I wanted to tell you about this week it's called Life. It's from 2017, and it's basically it's Alien basically. It's on the space station, and they find a microbe on Mars, and they bring it back to study it. And that's when the trouble starts, because the microbe starts
Always
growing.
does.
The microbe starts growing. It becomes sentient, and then it starts trying to take over the space station. And it was an extremely stressful watch, which is what those kind of movies are supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like films when people are caught in situations that they can't get out of, because I personally never put myself in situations that you can't get out of. But when you are on a space station and there is a sentient alien, there's not a whole lot you can do, man.
Yeah, you're fucked.
And what's interesting is, like they have one of the officers there. Their job at the space station is if A goes wrong, we go to B. If B goes wrong, we go to C. There's only so many things you can do, and then you run out of options. But it was really interesting to watch them try to go through all the options to not die by way of Alien. And by the way, all seems really plausible. I don't think you shouldn't bring back microbes from someplace else. I mean, that could be the end. That could finish us all. Life.
It just seems like it would anyway, even if it wasn't sentient,
Right.
That's true.
Just by accident.
Intergalactic pox blanket.
That's exactly it. We don't have whatever it is. It's not in our system, so it's not going to be good for us. Same thing for us going on other planets, but we never think about that though. Astronauts just went on there and stomped around. But
we just kill all the aliens right when we meet them.
I guess we knew that nothing was really alive on the moon anyway. And I guess on Mars we just sent out a robot. So I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's time, everybody, for Best Kill of the Week.
That is gross.
All right, everybody. So let's talk about some kills that we saw. Hey, Rui, what's the best kill of the week for you?
Probably in The Rage Carrie 2. There's like a scene where she makes a girl's glasses explode. That was pretty messed up.
Oh,
Pretty
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, The Rage, Carrie 2. All right, 1999. You're absolutely right. I don't know what movie I'm thinking of, but anyway, it's driving me crazy because there's a scene, and I just swore it was from Carrie 2 when she gets mad at one of the mean girls in the locker room, and then she uses her mind to squish the lockers to squish her in the lockers.
Wait, Ken.
Yes.
I think you're right.
Am I right about that?
Happens in the movie.
Thank you.
I think so.
Oh.
She definitely put somebody in a locker.
Thank you. I was really sweating that one. Was I losing my mind? I just.
You were fucking losing it, man.
It just happened a lot later than I remember. I remember it being in the 80s, but it happened in the 90s. It's fine. The 80s and the 90s are all the same to me anyway. At this point. Thank you, Rui. Kate, what's the best kill of the week for you?
Well, I will say, because I've been watching What We Do in the Shadows and don't have any other kills to think about for this week, there's a plot point in the show where the vampire's familiar, Guillermo, keeps accidentally killing vampires And it just, it just keeps happening in ways you wouldn't expect. Wouldn't Stake to the Heart is a lot easier than you would think. And there's a really great accident that happens with a broomstick.
Oh no.
Last week's episode. So there's that.
So ominous.
Nice.
Mark Hamill was just in one of the episodes.
That's
which was
true.
fucking hilarious.
Hey, Kelly, what is the best kill of the week?
So, the movie Z did not really have any good kills in it. I will say that.
Okay.
And so when I came home today, I popped in a VHS, my friend, of Cabin by the Lake. Do you know that movie?
Sure.
That's a Judd Nelson movie from 2000 that was made for USA. I loved this movie when I was a kid. Rewatching it as an adult, it's pretty bad, but the kill in it, the whole idea is Judd Nelson is playing this like screenplay writer for horror movies, but he's actually committing the crime, like the murders that he's talking about. So it's like he gets inspiration for writing from just things that he does himself. So he takes like beautiful teenage girls out, like he kidnaps them and holds them in a secret room, and then he dresses them up all fancy like and takes them out on his boat and like ties a concrete block to their feet and just drops them in the water.
Whoa.
So like they drown to death, which is fucking terrifying. And then he goes underneath the water and tends to his
it's very
underwater garden.
It's so bizarre.
Stop it.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What?
I don't know where you can watch this because I have it on VHS. It's one of 5 VHSs that I own. But you can hit up your friend Kelly and maybe borrow my VHS.
That's incredible. I have to find a way to watch this.
It always throws you off when an actor really goes against type like that, and then plays something that you absolutely don't expect, and then I don't know, he did a pretty good job at it too, and it was just and like it's such a surreal story. It's really wild.
It is. It's a good one. It's a forgotten one.
In Diablo Rojo PTY, the demon monster lady is squeezing the bus driver's head and to kill him, and his buddy, his assistant, whips a machete at her, and it goes into her back, and he thinks, I did it, but then it goes right through her back and right through the bus driver's head.
Oh my God.
Wow.
The old double kill. He saved and killed his friend at the same time, if you can believe that.
Wow.
I mean, that's like 50%, right?
Yeah, I mean, he got it halfway. Also, same film, they graphically ate a baby, which you don't see that often.
That's
God.
Huh.
Was it alive or dead?
It was alive. It was, they're witches. They're sacrificing. Also,
Are we all glad I asked?
also in Skull the Mask, a guy got a machete to the face, and it sliced off half of the face, and then just left it hanging there, flapping in the breeze.
Lots of machetes.
Yeah.
You love the headshots too.
They're fun.
Noticed.
They're fun.
Yeah.
So those are
a lot of good ones this week.
Those are the best kills of the week. And now it's time to talk about this week's feature, which is Antrum, the deadliest film ever made. By the way, I have a little of the theme song if you guys want to hear it. Oh, there we go. You remember.
Nice.
You remember now.
So ethereal. I love it.
Oh. It's kind of relaxing.
It's beautiful.
All right, directed by David Amito and Michael Lacini. First feature for both of them, starring Nicole Tompkins as Aura Lee and Rowan Smith as Nathan. Aura Lee is the big sister. Rowan Smith is the little brother. This was my second time watching this, and I really love the pacing and the vibe of the actual film this time. But let me set the scene here. Antrum starts as a documentary about a movie that will kill you if you watch it. Antrum, the film, was shown in one theater in 1979, and the audience burned down the theater while they were in it. It was sent to a bunch of festivals, and everyone who screened and rejected it later died in mysterious circumstances. So you get the idea. The twist here is that the documentarians actually find a copy of the infamous film and after a stern warning to the audience, they show it to you. And so the main thrust of the movie is the actual film, which is a very low budget sort of survival horror film about a kid and his teenage sister who go to a forest in Eastern Europe somewhere and start digging a hole to hell to save their dog because mom told the boy, that the dog went to hell after it bit him and got put down. And then they run afoul of a couple of psychopathic hunters who put the sister in a cage and attempt to roast the kid alive in a giant Baphomet statue. But all that happens. So that's basically the story of Antrum. Let's talk about, first of all, number one, they give you a big warning in the beginning that if you watch this, they can't be responsible for what happens next. Now, my question to you, the panel, is if the psychology of the curse worked at all on you. I know for a fact that Kelly tried to watch it and then stopped because she got scared. Right?
I did. And when Ken said he wanted us to review this one, I was like, fuck. Because literally, I tried to watch it like only a couple weeks before. My friend recommended it. And I put it on, and I was sitting here with my partner, Jared, and I started watching it, and I'm like, man, this is fucking scary. Like, I'm scared. Maybe I'm cult bait. Maybe I just fucking believe everything because I was too afraid to watch it. And of course, I told Jared that I thought it was kind of corny, so I didn't want to watch it because I didn't want to look like such a chicken shit. So I was just like, yeah, I'm not really feeling this one. I think it's kind of cheesy, which we all know it's the complete fucking opposite of that. This movie is terrifying. So you were buying when you were watching it, you were buying into the faux documentary part about people watch this thing, they go crazy, and we don't know why. I told you, I blame Blair Witch Project for doing this to me. I just fucking believe anything I see now. They were selling it, and I bought it. What about you, Kate? Was the curse aspect, did that throw you at all?
Guys, I wasn't scared at all.
Wow.
I went into it because I messaged you guys and was like, I'm going to do it. And Kelly, you said you were scared. And I was like, okay, maybe I am going to be scared because I watched the trailer and I was like, I don't know. I'm not scared of it. And I put it on and I got to tell you, I was not scared by it. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Maybe you're just desensitized.
Yeah, Rui, how about you, buddy?
Could be.
Did the curse worry you at all?
Generally, I try to avoid cursed things.
Yeah.
Like, I generally buy into most curses. In the mentality being, hey, I don't want to be proven wrong, But I didn't buy this one. It was. It's an indie movie. I can see indie directors pulling it. I didn't really buy into this whole curse.
Go ahead.
I do think that the documentary aspect of it, I think it was really well done.
Yeah,
it was. It was.
I know it's fake is the only thing.
I know it's fake, Rui.
Yeah, but
still.
Yeah, exactly, Rui. And anyway, what's real and what's fake anymore?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, Rui?
What if it is real and me and Rui are going to die now because we're the only two who are like, it's fine.
Everything's going to be all right.
I already, saged myself and shoved a few crystals up my ass. And
all right, now beyond the curse, let's talk about the actual film, the narrative film, which is the boy and the girl heading out to the woods to dig a hole to hell. Now, the concept is just really creepy and sad.
Yeah. I was so sad for a lot of the film. I felt very unsettled.
Yeah.
And I would get anxious at certain points for the characters, but mainly just really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the concept was just inherently tragic. And then the villains were just so odd. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to say
it's like
all
a dark
is good and well
fairy tale.
until all is good and well until somebody starts fucking a deer.
Yeah, that scene really caught me off guard.
So
That was just
It was, yeah.
So there's a lot
it was disturbing.
There's a lot that's unexplained. You know, for example, obviously they are American children. There's no explanation for why they are in. We don't exactly know where they're in, but we know they were in Eastern Europe somewhere.
Like Russia.
But also, why are there American flags? That's the other thing I didn't get. Like, when they're going through the, like, hunter's shed, there's an American flag on the door. And I was just like, this is a movie that is pretending to be in Eastern Europe. And you have two English-speaking children. And why are there American flags? I just was so confused.
Right. And also, it seemed like the credits were Greek as well. So
I couldn't track all of the different nationalities and languages we were supposed to.
I think that's
mixing
the
going
point.
on here.
But I think it's also like it's supposed to be a movie. It's like it's supposed to be like a cheap indie movie, right? So it's probably made in America.
Well, no, I felt like the original actual Antrum, the movie within this movie from the 70s, is actually supposed to be an Eastern European movie.
Right.
I don't know. It's weird. It's
like an art house kind of throwback
now,
to the 70s.
One of the other aspects of this is that they splice in, there's footage that's spliced in. And so later on there's an explanation. Part of this thing, the reason that this thing is cursed is because they had all these, weird witchcraft sigils that were put into the actual print of the film, and there was all these subliminal messages. And then, there was shots that were kind of like faux snuff film shots that were stuck in there randomly here and there.
Yeah.
All of which I thought were kind of useless. I didn't really see the point in
I was really waiting for them to do more with the snuff film aspect of them, suddenly having these clips from a snuff film. I kept waiting to have an explanation or some sort of payoff.
I did,
from
too.
that. And I was a little disappointed that there wasn't any sort of, they didn't go anywhere with that. It would just be someone spliced in a couple scenes from a snuff film. Okay.
Right.
I think it's supposed to be a disturbing parallel, maybe, because both of them die when I think the children supposedly die.
That's interesting. I didn't even really think of that.
I don't know. And it's hard to tell. Do they die? It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it is.
I gotta be
I
honest.
think it's implied at the end.
Go ahead, Kelly.
About 4 glasses of white wine in when I was watching this.
Yeah.
So they have.
I think that would have affected. I was stone cold sober, so I think that would have affected my viewing of the film. I will give you that.
I was tricked when it ended, and they started doing the mockumentary style again.
Yeah,
I got scared. I got scared again. I think that was the wine speaking to me.
Well, it's been released on Blu-ray just recently, and I don't know what's happening with the Blu-ray, but one thing that I would hope would happen is if you just showed the actual film without the documentary shit, and then without this fake snuff footage, I'd love it because I love the rhythm and the vibe of the actual film.
Yeah.
I could just watch that.
Too.
I could watch that all day. It's got this it's super lonely, but it's kind of it's almost like folk music or something. It's
very folky. Yeah.
It's
folk
just
horror. Sorry, go ahead, Ken.
And the color palette is really, it's just washed out. And
it's beautiful.
It's just kind of really sort of pretty, and if you want to look at something pretty and feel sad, it's great. It's perfect for that.
Just take a look at me.
Oh, come on, buddy. But then and they throw in this whole. I mean, it's it's almost like in the it's exactly in the 60s or something when they they have a film and they go, oh, this is not going to sell in the drive-ins. We have to come up with something. And then some guy goes, what if we say the movie's cursed? That's it. That's what we got to do. We'll just put a warning in the beginning, and then they'll flock to the drive-in. So I think
Do you know they released this on VHS?
Oh, that's cool. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
You can buy this movie on VHS, Ken.
You put it on reel to reel.
It's pretty cool.
It does have the right resolution for VHS. Ultimately, I really liked it a lot, and this is my second time watching it. And again, I hope there's a version where I can just watch it without all the extraneous stuff, because I didn't really need all that. Although that's fun. The whole curse aspect is fun. And by the way, if you enjoy that aspect of it, I suggest you check out, I think it's from 2016, the film Fury of the Demon, which is also about a lost George Millet film from the 1920s that would drive people mad every time it's screened. So, which by the way doesn't exist, but that's what the documentary is about. And in that one, they don't have any footage of it. They have like they have a second of the footage or something. So it's left to your imagination. But essentially it's the same story. But the actual film Antrum, I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
I liked it too.
I think as weird as it is to say, I think there's like a touch of whimsy to it too. Like, if you get what I'm saying. Like,
I think the soundtrack definitely added to that too.
Yeah,
a little surreal.
Yeah,
like, a lot of it doesn't make a lot of sense.
I was getting, I don't know if it was because I was talking about this movie the other day, but like the classic existentialist Seven Seal, Ingmar Bergman, like I kept getting weird Ingmar Bergman, like Seven Seal vibes from it, of like, oh, they're like, every time it would be like a new chapter. And then we have these like weird folk people, and I don't know if there's anything there, but I kept just being like, oh man, what is going on? Is it going to turn black and white soon?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But definitely definitely worth watching for all those aspects, but especially just because it's just a really interesting and almost it's almost groovy in a way.
Yeah.
They capture 1979 in a really unique way. And one of the interesting things to me too was, you're looking at a lot of the supernatural aspects of the film through the eyes of the younger brother, and who is probably like 8 years old, I would say, in the film.
Yeah, that seems
in 1979, I was 10 years old, and a lot of the world is still a mystery to you when you're that age. So when he hears Cerebus, the three-headed dog that guards the gates of hell, and he's telling his sister, look, I know I hear him at night, and he hears the chains rattling and stuff. If you are in a tent and you're 8 years old and you think you're digging your way to hell and you hear chains rattling, that's reality, man. That's For a kid, it's really happening, So it was really interesting to sort of key into that, because I was basically around that same age at the same time, so I could imagine myself in the situation.
That was the one bit that did really freak me out. Like I don't know how I wasn't scared, but the part where he's saying that this person Ike, who may or may not exist, he's saying like, but Ike is real, I talked to him. Yeah. That got me. I was like, oh, weird. Oh, okay. What are we doing here?
Literally screaming when they were shoving him in the oven. I was like, please God, no, please no.
Yeah, that was very tense.
Just the idea of being burned alive in a metal demonic structure is pretty unsettling.
And why would they do that? I didn't, and obviously it's all up to interpretation, but what are the mechanics of what those guys were up to? I mean, what was their...
So I looked up the movie and was like reading more about it. And a lot of times, instead of just being referred to as hunters, they're referred to as cannibals. And so like, it's kind of the same. But then also like, I was thinking about it and I was like, but in every shot with them, they have more dead animals. So like, they're not wanting for meat.
Right. They had plenty of meat.
I think they're supposed to be demons is the thing.
Really?
Like, if you buy into the hell metaphor.
Oh, you're right, buddy. They're demons.
Yeah, okay.
Oh my God! I think Rui just cracked the code. I think those
Jesus Christ.
I don't think they were humans. I think that they were demons, and they certainly. And they were so far away from anything that you could understand as people that would make sense that they weren't even actually humans. Except they died pretty easy for demons.
Yeah, they did die really easily.
Yeah, almost too easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all it takes is a bullet, apparently.
It's also
silver.
It's very disturbing to see men walking around with tighty whitey underwear too.
It didn't put pants on. Yeah.
It just
cowboy boots, right?
Yeah. It just really throws you off. It's just a terrible look.
It's always, and they're always like a little bit saggy, you know?
Yeah. These aren't fresh underwear. These have been worn quite a bit.
It's just not a good look at all.
Losing the elasticity, yeah.
I'd rather see like a banana hammock than like these like sad white
oh my God,
little things.
The worst. And for a long time, that was all that existed. I don't know whoever it was that invented boxer briefs, which probably is somewhere in the late 90s or something. But thank goodness for them, because finally they had some underwear that actually works for everybody. Because before that, when I was a kid, all men had to wear was either the tighty whities or like bikinis, which is what a lot of guys wore at the time, or boxers. But boxers were only worn by old men. So as growing up, it was tighty whities was all I had. And then by the time I was in high school, I was like, I'm bucking this trend. I can't deal with it, and I wore boxers. But boxers are they don't really provide any support whatsoever.
They don't hold you.
They don't hold anything.
They don't embrace where you need it the most.
Exactly. They're not. I mean, they're not gripping you tightly like tighty whities. So they give you you get a little give, but they're not holding anything in. So finally, somebody was like, let's just combine the two and see what happens. And then thank Christ for that, because now men can wear underwear that makes sense. But imagine a world full of in 1979, every guy. That's the underwear that your dad and your uncle and whoever else was wearing. Awful.
It makes me like immediately less attracted to every attractive man in a movie from that time now then, because I'm just imagining like that's what's going on underneath.
I'm telling you, that's what was happening. Name a hunk from 1979. Tom Selleck. That's what he was wearing under.
Oh God.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's a terrible image.
It's the mustache and the underwear. I just can't.
Quickly, Kelly, how Salem was this movie, Antrum?
Well, I mean, it was pretty satanic, so I feel like it's up there with a lot of that shit. So maybe like an 8.
Okay, that sounds good.
Thanks.
All right, it's time for the plugs, everybody. Before we go, we got to get to the plugs. Kate's got knives. She's got to move.
Don't ask any questions.
Are you ready, Kate? Sell your knives.
All right, I have knives, but they're not real knives. They're fake knives. They're pens and earrings and necklaces, and they are spooky, and you can find them at Spite House Designs, spitehousedesigns.com.
Thank you. Rui, you got anything you got to tell the world?
I mean, I don't really have any plugs now.
If your birthday's coming up, if they want to send you a birthday present or money, do you have a Venmo that they can send you?
If you go to if you go to the McGrath Highway and there's an underpass right off the side, if you leave the package under the 4th pillar, I'll be sure to pick it up.
Oh, he'll be there.
Wow, that sounds so sketchy. I love it.
Yeah. All right, what about you, Kelly? You got anything?
I don't have much going on, but I did catch wind of perhaps a drive-in movie theater taking place at the Kowloon restaurant on Route 1.
Yeah.
Is that real?
Yeah, that's what I heard. So the Kowloon restaurant is a very, very well-known Chinese restaurant that's in it's actually in
Saugus.
Thank you. And it has a huge, gigantic parking lot. And they can't have as many people I guess they can have people in the restaurant soon, but even then it'd be half capacity. So they have this big parking lot. What are they going to do with it? Kowloon's idea is we're going to put a drive-in theater in our parking lot. So that should be exciting. Now, and they also want to have a car hop situation. So you're sitting there watching your drive-in movie while they are delivering Chinese food to your car. Now,
sounds like heaven.
You have to ask yourself, do you want to be eating Chinese food in your car?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to eat Chinese food anywhere.
Okay.
Seriously.
Yeah, pretty much.
Your car is going to smell like egg rolls for months. But
if it's a good egg roll, it's like, I don't see the problem. But like, if my car smelled like General Tso chicken, I wouldn't complain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So all you got to do, Rui, is convince your dad to take you to Kowloon and sit in the parking lot and eat some egg rolls.
I could play the birthday card,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't, it's not ready to go yet, but it's in the works.
Yeah.
And I think their plan is to show sort of classic, 70s, 80s kind of fare that everybody would enjoy.
Nice.
I don't know exactly what that means, but you could probably figure it out. Name something, Kelly, you think that they would show at the Kowloon parking lot drive-in.
Horror or something just in general?
No, they probably are not going to show, Pieces or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or anything like that.
Son of a bitch. They're probably going to play like The Goonies, which is fine. I'm all for that.
They'll probably play The Goonies.
Yeah.
I've never seen The Goonies. I'm sure it's great.
They're going to play like murder set pieces.
No, I don't think they're going to do that.
Or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think they will. Bitch. They might have a French extremity night. I don't know. It's up to them. It's their call, but I don't think that they will. They might.
They want you to keep eating, so they're probably not going to show excessive gore.
Yeah, exactly.
So no high tension.
Yeah,
in
really.
the parking lot at the Kowloon.
Exactly. Yeah. They're not gonna serve you Chinese food that you're then gonna vomit up. I mean, what is the point of that?
That's the catch. Is if you
and then you gotta order more
up in your car, so you have to clean it. They don't have to clean it up, and then you have an empty stomach, and they can serve you more.
Brilliant.
Well, this has been fun, but we have to go. So we'll see you next week.
I'm gonna go eat some egg rolls.
We'll see you next week. Until then, you can go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Heavy Leather Horror Show, or you can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Heavy Leather Horror Show, and enjoy all we have for you. And we'll see you next week on the Heavy Leather Horror Show. Say good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Fantastic.
Have horrible dreams.
We gotta get out of here.